Hey guys, how's it going? Alright, so let's try to figure out where we left off today with the Monroe Doctrine. So I'm trying something a little bit different today. I'm actually going to be doing a combination of utilizing technology on YouTube right now. So I will actually be reading you off the stuff aloud today. And today I'll actually be monitoring what you're actually doing. So I get to walk around the classroom a little more, actually see what you're doing, answer more questions, and I'll be right where I left off, and we'll stay right on task, and we'll see how things flow today. All right. Excuse me, my throat. All right, y'all. Okay, so remember when we talked about the Monroe Doctrine? We initially talked about President James, President James Monroe had sent troops to secure the U.S. Florida border. Okay, so he sent troops down to secure the U.S. Florida border. Remember, the Spanish owned Florida at this time. Now, can someone please tell me, President James Monroe, what did he do beforehand? He did something important before that we talked about last week. What did he do before he was president? Okay, so now we know Jackson's presence in Florida convinced the Spanish leaders to negotiate. So, in case you didn't know, negotiations is the process of where we're talking back and forth to each other, trying to figure out a solution. Okay, if I'm going to sell, let's say, a big pot of Texas chili. Yes, I said Texas chili. Of course, it's going to be Texas chili. And we're going to try to sell a big pot of Texas chili. I'm saying I'm going to sell it for $5. But you're like, look, Mr. Jonathan, I only got 50 cents for this Texas chili, and it can't be that good anyway, so I'm only going to give you 50 cents. But you're really hungry, then I might say I'll go down to $4.50. You might go up to $1. Then I might go down to $3.50. You might go up to $1.50. And maybe we meet somewhere in the middle, like $2.50. So that's negotiating. We're both going to give a little to get a little bit, okay? Now, in 1819, the two countries signed the Adam-Onis Treaty, okay? So they're disputing over this land. The Americans really want to move to Florida, but look at the map up there, you guys. All that orange is now part of the United States. And don't forget that Louisiana has recently been purchased. And that area where it says Missouri Territory, this is now technically American territory. So they have all this land. We have now seen how 3/4 of the country has been acquired by the United States. Do they really need that little strip of land down there in Florida? What do you think? So do the Americans really need extra land to move on to? Okay, so the Adam-Onis Treaty settled border disputes. Okay, so the Adam-Onis settled border disputes. So it kind of helped them get rid of that thing that they were disputing between Spain and the United States. Now we talked a little bit yesterday about diplomacy. This is kind of when that idea of diplomacy comes in handy. So diplomacy, kind of trying to find a peaceful solution to something. So remember, diplomacy is a peaceful solution to something. So under this treaty, Spain gave East Florida to the United States. So the United States is pretty excited because now they have control in Florida. FYI, did you know that once part of Louisiana was considered a part of the Florida area? If some of y'all have been to or from St. Helena Parish, East Feliciana, West Feliciana, those are known as the Florida parishes because they're once a part of Florida. And culturally, they're a little bit different than the other part of Louisiana, like Southwest Louisiana, because they had a different history to them, okay? Now, in return, the United States gave up its claim to what is now Texas. Yes, indeed. The great state of Texas. Yes, indeed. All right, so they gave up Texas in that. Remember, they're negotiating. They're compromising. We talked about these words today and yesterday. So they're giving us some stuff to be able to gain some things, okay? So the United States is giving up some claim to Texas, but they're allowing Americans to move into East Florida. So U.S. leaders agreed to pay $5 million to Spain. Now, y'all, they paid $5 million for this little piece of land down here, and they only paid $15 million for all of the Louisiana purchase. So there's $10 million difference, but in reality, it's not that much more difference. But Spain's land that they're getting from Spain is really not as nearly as much as the land they got from the French. So, take a moment and quietly read your papers and tell me, why was Adams-Onis Treaty important? So go back through your notes, look at some things that we just said that the Adams-Onis Treaty did, and look at some other stuff reading, and take a minute and write a couple things down to figure out what is important. I will be calling on some of you all to tell me what you think. So everybody writes. Let's go. Okay, real quick, in case you forgot, the objective today is I can describe provisions of the Monroe Doctrine and its influences on U.S. foreign relations, okay? So, keep that in mind. Alright, so, thank you for your response. America was also facing other problems. So America just wasn't dealing with this issue of wanting to have more land down in Florida. They were dealing with other issues. Like many countries were still at war and were trying to get America involved. America is known as kind of a powerful country now. Why? Because remember, they have recently beat the British twice, 2 times in a row. So they're known as a pretty powerful country. So President Monroe put together a document to protect American interests because all the other countries want Americans to be able to help protect them. This doctrine is known as the Monroe Doctrine. Everybody, say Monroe Doctrine. Come on, Monroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine. Perfect. Monroe Doctrine. So what do you think the Monroe Doctrine is about? So think about it. If other countries are wanting America to help defend them, and the president decides he needs to do something about it, so he comes up with this idea called a Monroe Doctrine. What is it about? Don't yell it out. Write it down. And I'll call on a few people. Take a second. Go ahead. Write it down. Hey, write it down. Quickly, I want to see everybody write. Everybody writing. Come on. Do, 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 do. Alright, let me call on a couple people. Alright, so here we go. We got some things to write down. Everybody look up there, start writing them down. Monroe Doctrine. I know, it's quite a lot to write, but come on, it'll help you out. Yes, indeed. Monroe Doctrine. 1. The United States would not interfere with the affairs of any European nations. So we said, hey countries, whoever's asking for our help, we're not going to really step in if it's a European nation going at it. Someone please tell me what is the name of a European nation that we're constantly talking about, a big one. Come on, give me some names. Okay, so European nations included would be like Great Britain, aka England, France, Spain, those nations. Number 2, the Western Hemisphere was off limits to future colonization by any foreign power. Oh man, excuse me. So what this means is that any country that wanted to come over to this side of the world, to the Americas, North America or South America, they were no longer allowed to come over to colonize things. So America's really stepping up their game and so-called being the big brother or the head person in charge of the entire Western Hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere is made up of 2 continents, North America, South America. North America, South America. South America, North America. South America, North America. América del Norte, América del Sur. América del Norte, América del Sur. North and South America make up the Western Hemisphere. Number 3, the United States would not tolerate European intervention in the Western Hemisphere, North and South. Just like we said. Alright, folks, I think I'll be able to handle the rest from class for now. So I just wanted to do that, kind of give you a little bit of a break, something new, something different, something new and different for me too. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and continue this Monroe Doctrine.